What's up, War Report family? We are here. The Bet US post game. I've got Dylan Lark and Caesar Walker with me to talk about Auburn's big win over Georgia. This is the instant reaction. Before we get started, you guys know what to do. Share this on social media so others can join the conversation using @TheWarReport hashtag Get Your Weight Up. Drop the link to this live stream if you could, please. Also, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're bringing you guys lots of fire content at The War Report, Instagram, and Twitter. TW Report on TikTok. Fellas, let's jump right in. Auburn has done it. They have defeated Georgia in Athens. What is been like tough road wins for Auburn. Auburn has not fared too well on the road so far in SEC play. The final score here, guys, 97-76. They came up 3 points short of dropping a century on the Bulldogs. Guys, let's instant reactions here, man. How big is this win for Auburn on the road?
Go ahead, Dylan.
I mean, I think it's big for a lot of reasons. I mean, you had Aiden Holloway look like what he did in the first 3 games of the season. Shot 5 for 8 from the 3-point line. Did exactly what we needed him to do. His first time back as a starter since I want to say before the Bama game, that first one. But I mean, you come into a game, you don't have Jalen Williams, and you have Chad Baker-Mazara, and you have Chaney Johnson combined for 31 points. This proves what Bruce Pearl has been talking about the entire time. Talking about my 10's better than your 10. I think tonight really proved that because you had 2 guys come in to replace the one that you lost, the most consistent player on the team, and Jalen Williams, and you came in and you proved it right then that your 10's better than their 10.
Yeah, Caesar, instant reactions here.
Listen, we have heard all season long about the depth. That's been the story about this Auburn team, is that while there hasn't been a bona fide superstar, obviously Janai Broome is the closest you'll have to that. But this has been a team that's been characterized by its depth, right? They've talked about the fact that Auburn can go 10, 11, even 12 deep at times. We saw that depth today. We were curious how we were going to look. First game without Jalen Williams, who's clearly been the second leading scorer on this team. His production was going to be missed. The starting 5 guys scored 80 points on the road.
Wow.
Your starters scored 80 points. That's how you respond in your first game without Jalen Williams. And guys like Chaney Johnson, who scored 16. I'm looking at guys like that. That was what my question mark is. How would guys like him respond tonight? You're not playing behind Jay Will. How will you perform? He was efficient, guys. 6 of 9, 16 points, 4 rebounds. He was a dog, and he filled in quite nicely. Chad Baker-Mazara, obviously the story of the game, leading scorer, 25 points, looked like a star.
Yep.
Looked like a star. I don't know if you guys know this, but Chad Baker-Mazara told me to tell you guys that he is him.
Did you see the comment during the game looking at the Georgia crowd? He says, I'm him.
I'm him.
Yes.
This was just a good road game coming off of a loss, losing Jalen Williams. This is just a good way for this team to respond. They looked like a team that was well-rested. They didn't play this week. They looked well-rested. They looked fired up, and they were able to withstand Georgia making a second half run at them. They got within 3. I liked how they responded. They stayed level-headed, and they played well today.
Yeah. Before we get to your comments, guys, this post game is about you. So drop your comments in the live chat. We love super chats too. You guys know how it goes. I want to read out some stats here. Chad Baker-Mazara, career high, I believe, 25 points, 8 for 12 from the field, 7 of 7 from the free throw line, 2 of 3 from range. He also added 4 assists, 5 rebounds, 1 block, and had kind of a career night. I mean, in the absence of Jalen Williams, as you said, Caesar, Chad Baker-Mazara really stepping up. But I think that Chaney Johnson deserves some love here.
Oh, for sure.
6 of 9 from the field, 16 points, hit a 3, 3 of 4 from the free throw line, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. And a steal. He had a game. Denver Jones, again, a quiet 8 points, but I mean, they were a big 8 points at times during the game when Auburn had to keep the momentum going. And of course, Janai Broome finished with 16 points, a huge 13 rebounds, 2 blocks, 2 assists. And he went into the second half in foul trouble and did not commit a single personal foul the entire second half. So the type of things, great adjustments, I feel all around from Auburn. Georgia has been a tough out for people in the SEC this year. So I know their record may not reflect it, but this was a quality road win for Auburn. Let's get to the comments, guys, and see what you guys have to say here. Caesar, you can mark comments you see as well. Our guy says, thank you for being a member for 19 months. Even the refs couldn't stop that spanking of the Pound Puppies. UGA and Bama go down, and the baseball team is 6-0. Glorious Saturday. Yes, it was a good Saturday. I think only the softball team lost today.
They're the only ones that lost this week.
This week? Yeah. Wow. It was great. The refs were calling the game tight. Ike Jones, who is covering live, you don't follow him on Twitter, TWR Ike Jones, please follow him. He tweeted out, like, UGA is known to draw a lot of fouls. So this wasn't unexpected, and on their home court, being able to survive that, guys, I think is huge. JJ Brand says, Aiden has awoken. I think a lot of people were praying for this in Jalen's absence, that Aiden Holloway would score. Dylan, I feel like you're holding something.
Fingers crossed. I just hope it's not Georgia, not the best opponent, but definitely an opponent that does tend to give Auburn issues, especially in Athens with all the adults barking at each other. Yeah. But Aiden Holloway had a great game. I mean, Chaney Johnson had a game that I've been waiting to see ever since he got here, because he was I think I heard more hype about Chaney Johnson during the summer practices than I did about any other player on this team. But I hope and pray that Aiden has awoken, because if this team is getting hot right now, I'd be scared to play Auburn.
Yeah. What I was add here too is that I was impressed with how Georgia defended the perimeter. They're a scrappy team. So even though, to your point, Mike, they don't have an impressive record, so it's easy to kind of overlook the opponent and how Aiden performed. With how Georgia defended the perimeter, how their guards play defense, this was a good game for Aiden. This was the type of game that you bounce back from, and he played very well. It's only going to build towards his confidence, so I'm happy for the kid.
Yeah, absolutely. Ephesians 2, verses 8 and 9 says, ain't no way I just watched Cardwell drain a 3. If that second went in, I may have ran shirtless around my neighborhood. Wild. Nothing but net, too, guys. From the top of the key. Beautiful. Definitely beautiful. That will get people going. Juice Heist says, hopefully this means we're getting hot at the right time. Love it. Obviously, you want to get hot going into that SEC tournament. Road wins are a good sign that you may fare well in the tournament, because it's going to be neutral site in Nashville, but it's not going to be a home game. So being able to win away from your arena is definitely huge.
Let's get through Knoxville first.
Okay. All right. I feel that. Tennessee's a solid squad this year. Tatiana says, boy, we needed this win, and we got it. So good. Yes. I think it is. They came to this game 4th in the SEC. So the significance of that is you don't want to fall at top 4, so you don't have to play until the weekend.
Hey, Bama got spanked today. So again, you want to stay on target if you're Auburn, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate Tatiana for that comment. Leanne Owen, Aiden got his groove back. Yeah, I agree. This is huge. And you know what's great about this year in the squad that Bruce Pearl has built, guys, is that there wasn't too much on this young man than there were on his predecessors that were highly regarded freshmen coming in. With Jabari, when Jabari wasn't having, a great game, it felt like there weren't a lot of other guys that could step in. Today, Chaney Johnson and Chad Baker-Mazara stepped up to help carry the scoring load in a huge way. And we're not talking about an extra 6 points. You're talking about 16 points for Chaney Johnson. You're talking about 25 from Chad Baker-Mazara.
41 total between these two guys.
Oh, my goodness. That is massive. Like 50% of your scoring came from those two guys, nearly. Just great Great game by them. We love to see that. You love to see it. Blake Patterson says, I loved this starting lineup, though. I want to stay here for a second. A quick comments. Bruce Pearl said that in the preseason, he said this will be the greatest balance of minutes of any team he's ever coached. Now, he was forced to balance those minutes a little bit with Jalen Williams going out. But what did you guys think of the starting lineup there?
I think it was exactly what the doctor ordered. Aiden Holloway, no one expected to see him tonight. I believe starting because is it Trey been starting for the past eight-ish games now?
Yeah,
did not see. I have not seen a real good Trey Donaldson ever since he scored his career high. And I'm sorry, I'm getting all these text messages all at once. But I have not seen a good Trey Donaldson ever since he scored that career high against, I think, Alabama in Neville Arena. But you came out and you sat Chris Moore, which I want to say a lot of Auburn fans have been asking for that to happen for a hot minute. Chris Moore, a guy who adds a lot of energy whenever he's on the court, but the box score is just never filled. Never filled whenever he is on the court. But I think this has to be your starting five for the remainder of Jalen Williams is being out. And I think you have to keep you have to keep Chad Baker-Mazara in the starting lineup no matter what at this point. I know that he wants that 6 Man of the Year award, but he definitely needs to be a part of that 5-man.
Yeah, I maybe controversially said earlier in the season that he was actually Auburn's best offseason pickup. It was clear to me months ago. But, some people felt like it would be Denver Jones. I think he's been the most consistent two-way player, certainly. Sure. Caesar, you comment on this?
For sure. No, it's by far. It's by far. Even before this game, what he does, there's a lot of things Chad Baker-Mazara does that even show up in the stat sheet.
Yeah.
Right. And so the value that he brings being on that court and just his veteran leadership. Again, Auburn's on the road, and I think it was Ole Miss. I think it was that game, and had the coaches leave. Right. So having that type of leadership, in addition to Janai and Jalen and Cardwell and all those other guys who've been there a while, that's huge. That's major. You need that type of leadership going into the postseason.
Yeah, absolutely. Fishing 247, we appreciate the super chat. Awesome game tonight, but that technical against Broome was crazy. It was kind of wild. Dylan, what did you see there?
I mean, we could have a whole other LAUB town about how bad the officiating was in this game because it was horrendous. I don't even think that was as bad as the call on Aiden Holloway that caused Georgia to get 3 free throw attempts because I've never seen a guy get kicked in the air, like actually physically kicked in the air and then get a foul called on him. That was crazy. But I don't want to say it. This happens a lot, but as an Auburn fan, as Auburn fans in the chat, it's really hard to watch this team not get a tech. I think it's a win no matter what the score is if this team doesn't get a tech in a game. But it happens.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. Caesar, do you have something here?
Nah, we can keep going.
All right. Jonathan Boyce, Jay Will going down might help us prepare for getting Chad Baker-Mazara and Chaney more confidence. A blessing in disguise, maybe?
To be fair, I don't think Chad Baker-Mazara was lacking in confidence.
Yeah.
Chaney though, this is one of the blessings that an injury can give you, especially if you take advantage of it, right?
Yeah.
Because when Jay Will comes back, what you don't want to see is Chaney go back into the shadows, right? You want to see him continue to build off of the opportunities that he has, getting more minutes and being able to assert himself in this lineup. So I like this. I'm hope he's able to continue to build on this next week, but I like this version of Chaney.
Put Chaney as the 6-man coming off the bench as soon as Jay Will gets back. He needs 15 to 20 a game.
LAUB, we appreciate you, sir, gifting 5 War Report memberships. Good stuff there, sir. We love everybody who does this.
Let me ask you guys this real quick. Because I understand what you're saying, Dylan, in terms of starting Chad Baker-Mazara. But you understand it just in basketball, it's all about how guys play with each other. And I think that's one of the benefits of I think more benefited by having Jay Will and Broom in the front court with them, because they were the guys getting buckets and producing. He's the high energy guy, the hustle guy, making the dirty plays. Obviously, with him out and a lot of unknowns around Chaney Johnson, you almost need a Chad Baker-Mazar with a Chaney Johnson just in case Chaney doesn't show, right? So it's almost like who gets the ball if Chad Baker-Mazar is out there with those guys. Again, I'm not mad at the rotation, but it's almost, you understand how these things go in basketball. Yeah. It's all about how you match guys together. And I think Bruce Pearl has done an outstanding job putting guys with each other to play well.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, Chad's been playing starting minutes regardless. He's been playing starting minutes all year, so he's been playing with. I think Chad's probably played with more rotations than any other player on the team.
Yeah, I don't think you're a worse team with him in the starting lineup for sure. But I understand how some of the thought process behind why some people start and why some people don't. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Another super chat here from Justin Crumpton. Tennessee next for Auburn, at Bama, at USC.
Oh, they're next 4. Okay. Yeah. Oof.
Yeah. Ouch, man. Kentucky.
We're gonna find out a lot about Tennessee next week or so. So for sure.
Kentucky may be hitting their stride right at the right time as well too. So that'll be interesting. South Carolina, I believe, had a big win today.
They beat Ole Miss pretty.
Ole Miss, yeah, pretty convincingly. And to my Ole Miss friend, and then obviously Bama, which leads me.
It's at Bama too, so that's a tough game.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of Bama, Juice says, and shout out to Bama getting booty blasted. Yes, they did. Like they got enemed. It was awful. They. When I tuned in, it was 30. I think. What was the final score, Dylan? Where did it end?
117-95.
They closed the gap a little bit.
So that's one of the things that you pray. Like one of the things about Kentucky is their ability to score. That's one of the games that you pray doesn't happen when you play them, is that they just happen to not be able to miss. And they just couldn't miss against Bama. It was a thing of beauty. Better than us. But again, we saw how they looked when they came in Neville Arena. But again, teams like that, sometimes they get hot and it's over. It's just over.
Yeah.
They had the managers playing for the last 10 minutes of the game. So
yeah,
Kentucky could have put up 150 in that game, but they decided not to.
Yeah. Unbelievable there. Let's continue with your comments, guys. We appreciate everybody for joining the conversation. Blake Patterson says, I loved this starting lineup. I think a lot of people did. Tim the Toolman Taylor says, Chad Bacon Lasagna out there acting up. This is the first time I've seen that. Bacon, you know what I mean? You guys are doing a real good job with his middle name there, but obviously he was cooking something. Yeah. Jonathan Boysen says, Mike, 100% Chaney looked damn good. Just more comments on Chaney. I want to make sure that we give him his due in this post game. He had a monster game. Now, the score will show a 21-point victory, but not Kentucky. Georgia got this within 4 points in the second half. Three at one point. Yeah, that's right. It was like 66-63. I feel like Chaney Johnson's points were critical at making sure Auburn did not go into offensive lulls that allowed them to actually take the lead. Guys, let's talk Chaney Johnson a little bit here, man. Again, 6 of 9 from the field, added 16 points. Just a great game from him.
What was important for him is that he stayed out of foul trouble, right? Because you don't have the benefit of, well, Chaney Johnson's in foul trouble, Jalen, you're in, right? He's it at that position, right? So for him to play, he was able to drive to the basket. His mid-range was good. He hit a 3. He was 1 of 3 from three-pointer. Again, the production that we're used to seeing from Jay Will, we got it from Chaney Johnson.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I have always lamented about this Auburn team, again, Chad Baker-Mazar aside, we know, regardless of how Janai Broom looks in the first half of a game, we know he's going to show up eventually to give you your usual 15 points a game. In this case, he gave us 16.
Yeah.
I've always lamented that we need a second guy, particularly in the front court, who can provide additional production in terms of the interior on the inside, being able to score. And of course, Jay Will can score from in and inside as well as out. But for Chad to be able to fill in for him and provide that production is major for this team, especially on the road. And for us to not have to depend on him now going into this game where you are depending on his production, for him to show up in a big way can't be understated. It was major.
Yeah, definitely. Dylan Chaney.
I can't lie. Whenever the season first started, Chaney Johnson was my pick for who's going to probably be the best newcomer on this team for this season. I believe I probably said along the lines of, once the game comes to him, look out. Because anyone who played UAH last year learned real quick who Chaney Johnson was. And when the game came to him, and it looks like it finally has, you're getting a guy who's going to be a reliable scorer no matter what. And all I got to say is, BP, you got to give this man his minutes.
Yeah. It was just great, man, to see him. And, for a guy like that who gives you 100% effort all the time, it's nice to see those guys have breakout games the way that they did. Let's see here. Stephen Bradley says Chad Baker-Mazara learned that his high school coach passed, and he was playing for him. He was very emotional post-game interview. Wow. Okay. Did not know that. But that could go one of two ways sometimes, right?
Right.
Getting that kind of news before a game.
Right. And usually when it's things like that, people usually play an amazing game.
Yeah.
I usually see it go very positively for those players. It's just something that you just have to channel and bottle up. But again, this is a guy who is an emotional leader for this team. And so what better way to show your acumen from an emotional leadership standpoint than to come out and put on the performance of your college career in light of this news here. So happy for him. Obviously, he's going to continue to mourn his high school coach, but to honor him in that way was pretty spectacular.
Yeah. Let's see here. Getting to some more comments. We appreciate everybody for joining the live cast. Ben Bloodworth says, shout out to the Auburn fans who showed up and made noise.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, among them, not making noise because he's media, but was Ike Jones. He wasn't making noise, but he was there.
And quiet.
Yeah, covering the game for us live there in Athens. He made the trip. You guys shout him out on Twitter if you can. Thank him for his service. Jonathan Boyson says Chaney never forced anything. He let the game come to him and took advantage of opportunities. Just wish he would have finished that dunk. That dunk was so close.
I have a theory. I have a theory that if he completed that dunk, Georgia would have never pulled within 3.
Interesting. You think that dunk is demoralizing?
I think you would have taken their soul if you dunked on them in that fact, because Auburn was on a little bit of a run at that point too. If you recall, Auburn was in a good rhythm there. I think if he dunks that, you steal the mojo out of that building, in my opinion. But yes, good game for him. But yeah, if he had finished that, I think we would have seen. Yeah, I don't think it would have gotten tight the way it did in the second half.
Agreed.
I'm trying to think of a player who's kind of along the lines of Chaney, because he's not a guy you really hear from a lot. He's not going to be your Chad Baker-Mazara, your KD Johnson, who are sitting there screaming at the opposing team, the managers, the opposing coach, their own coach, and the fans in the stands. He's going to be your more quiet, tame guy. And then all of a sudden you see him, you find out why Bruce Pearl wanted him so bad, because he can jump out of the gym. But that probably been a Sports Center top 10 moment. He needs to connect on one of those dunks soon, because I've been waiting ever since the summer practices for him just to yam on somebody.
Yam. I love that word. Extra points for Yam. Brad Browning says Chad Baker-Mazara is the best transfer BP got for sure. We talked about that at the top of the live cast. He wasn't one a lot of people were looking at, but he certainly has shown up in a big way. Let's see here. Our guy.
I said, depending on how the season ends, could there be an argument that he's probably been the best transfer that BP's brought in? Because I know Walker Kessler was very good But if this team goes past round of 32, could there be an argument?
I don't
Walker
know.
Kessler says hi.
The Walker.
I love Walker. I've entered every single Team War Ready thing trying to get me a Kessler jersey. But
and he wasn't Auburn's best player last year, but we said it over and over again. He was Auburn's most important player. So,
and then there's Janai Broom. I mean, we gotta remember that Janai Broom. Like it is.
It's what's crazy is you don't think of these guys as transfers. Yeah, it just feels like they were born in Auburn and they got Auburn on their birth certificate. But it is.
I thought about KD Johnson because I was like, why are these fans hate KD Johnson?
Okay, I saw somebody post revenge game, and I'm like, it's been going on for a few years now. Is it really a revenge game?
Yeah.
No.
It is. It's, if there's any petty in you, which I'm sure there is in KD, it's a revenge game.
Yeah, like he played 16 games for Georgia.
There's a we've seen KD flex when he scores, right? We see him feel good, but it was something extra in KD today when he would score. Like everything was dedicated to the back of that goal. I guess that was the student section behind where Auburn was scoring it. Everything was dedicated to them. He hit a three. He was looking that direction. He drove to the basket, made the basket, or got fouled. He's looking. It was just this game was different for him for sure. Yeah. So I'm happy for KD in that regard that he had a good game.
Yeah. Shout out to everybody joining us from the Locked On Post Game Livecast. We love Zach over there. Join the conversation. We're going to keep going for a little bit longer here as you guys join. Let's see here. Our guy says they got within 3. Then Auburn just reached out and took their heart with a series of threes. This is an important part of this team where it feels like in the past, once that landslide of the inevitable run when you're in conference play the other team is going to make, they haven't been able to stymie those. And you see the better teams are able to, persevere through those runs and hold the lead. Auburn did that minus Jay Will tonight.
Yeah, it's just a nice change of pace to watch this team not try to die by the 3, even though they don't have to live by it anymore.
Yeah, they got the Dylan. They got the ball into Janai Broom at key points tonight, and again, he played effectively down there with 3 fouls the entire half. I felt like he gave up some points, in a smart way, to their big man because he understood that his presence scoring would be needed down. He didn't get any stupid fouls in that. He didn't get any fouls in that second half.
So what I'm starting to figure out about this Auburn team, and this is true of most teams, the way Auburn played, Auburn took what the defense gave them in this game.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think this is not an elite shooting team, but they're capable of getting hot. They were 14 of 26 from 3-pointers, which means they weren't just jacking up threes every chance they got.
Right.
They took 3-pointers that, if you were wide open, you were shooting. With the exception of one shot, I loved it. Even Janai Broom was making some threes. So these guys were hot in points, but I like their decision-making in terms of when to shoot the 3. And it reflected you were 53% from 3-pointers.
Right.
53%. A week ago at home, you were abysmal. So for them to come out and make better shot selections, you have performances like this.
Yeah. We have some great comments in here coming in, guys. Please continue to comment. Before we move on, though, just want to mention that, hey, guys, bet.us. Caesar's holding the basketball, so that means that you need to sign up because he didn't do that very often, but he did that just for you. They issue payouts within 24 hours, 125% sign-up bonus up to $2,500, 24 hours of customer service. Bet.us. If you were betting on Auburn to win big, you won tonight. So bet.us will help you get that bet in. We appreciate them for sponsoring this segment. Let's get back to the comments. James Barnett says, for the guys that criticize Aiden, shame on them. Lots of criticism coming that young man's way, but they built a team that could shoulder the load without him. I feel like this criticism, as harsh as some feel that it has been, could have been a lot worse if it were the same kind of team dynamic as Bruce Pearl has had in the past. Right. Lots of veteran leadership, man, on this team that just shield that young man from that.
And you have a guy in Trey Donaldson that you can lean on while Aiden begins to figure things out, right?
Yep.
And again, to your point, that was something that Auburn has not had. You had different types of point guards. You had a Zep Jasper who could shoot, right? He was a scorer at his previous stop, but he was basically known as a defensive guy, right? But you just had different guys who did different things. But for Trey Donaldson to come in and be able to run the offense, get you buckets when need be, it took the pressure off of this kid to be all things or be the All-American. Every time he was out there, they would bring up that this kid was an All-American. And that's pressure, guys. That's pressure. You want to be the guy at the next level. He's able to come along at his own pace and figure out the college game. And so obviously you're going to be criticized with all the hype coming in, all those stars by your name, but I'm happy he's beginning to figure it out. And I was concerned about this kid a few weeks ago when we began to see Denver Jones bringing the ball up. I was worried that this kid was going to slide even further down in terms of getting playing time. But I'm happy to see him. This was important for him to start, and he made the coaches look good by showing up and showing why he needed to start.
Absolutely. Jonathan Boyson says, at James Storm, if Aiden can play like that and Trey plays like he has earlier this year, scary. I agree. Scoring is scary. Blake Patterson says, again, whoever was doubting Aiden is a fool to begin with. He showed us he could show out in the beginning of the season. I love the Aiden love here. I start a lot of these comments
Peter the fool.
because he definitely deserves it.
I feel like not doubt, but like the criticism he was receiving. So I never saw anybody overtly like hate on him. I gave my own. Yeah. I'm not on that side of Twitter. I guess I'm on the more positive. Well, you got next year, Aiden. Don't worry, you can get there. But it was a level of for a huge span of games. You were like, Aiden, please take better shots. Please don't shoot sideways. Quit jumping up around someone to shoot a three. It was something like that, but tonight felt different. This has been the most poised we've seen Aiden Holloway. I want to say it at least since whoever it was after the game he scored 24. I can't remember who exactly it was against. I feel like it might have been Indiana. But it's the most poised we've seen Aiden Holloway since then. But still going to need that sophomore year.
Yeah, Tatiana says Aiden is the man. He's coming in hot. Love the Aiden love, guys. Thank you, Tatiana. Jay Brand, Mike G with the I told you so. Always, JJ, you know how it is. I got to let you guys know. Blake Patterson, these refs were terrible tonight. I don't want to stay here very long, but
okay, let me ask you guys a question because I didn't jump on this conversation early when we talked about the refs. When was the last game you saw Auburn playing where you were like, man, these refs got it right?
Got it right? Yeah, I almost can't even remember. It's been
so it's almost a given we're going to complain about officiating.
I don't think I've ever watched an Auburn sporting event ever, no matter what sport it is, where I've like, oh, these officials are good.
Other fan bases will attack Auburn fans anytime, officiating is brought up in a loss. However, I feel like where it hurts teams the most is when you're going on a run and against Janai Broome versus Kentucky, I mean, literally they were calling ghost fouls. The guy fell to the ground, tripped over his own feet, and they called a foul. Those things really stop the momentum and the flow of the game. I always think they're worth mentioning. Brad Brown says Carwell making a three was the exclamation point. So much fun to watch him make threes at the end of the game. Jonathan Boyd says, agree, Caesar. That dunk would have had people leaving real early.
It would have broke their soul for sure.
Again, with the officiating, SEC officiating has been sad for years now. They've got to do something at the league office. Bruce Pearl said after Kentucky that he had some stuff he was going to be sending to them for review. So hopefully he keeps that coming. Walker Show says, let's not forget about Leor's stat line of 4 points, 1 board, 1 assist in 13 minutes. Leor Berman scoring off the dribble tonight, guys.
Listen, I got hype when he took him off the dribble and got a bucket. I said, I see you, old Leor. I see you.
Yeah,
the little hook shot he got, or little floater.
I mean, 4 points may not seem like a lot, but when you can spell somebody and add points offensively, and then give the other team something to guard, it matters. They weren't expecting that. That little teardrop down the lane. I was like, wait, what? Who is this guy?
Listen,
Leor
if you start getting the 4 to 6 points here from Leor Berman, watch out, man. Watch out, because if you got Chad Baker-Mazar going off, and then here comes Leor with a shot here and there, watch out, man. Because now you're going 10, 11 deep guys getting buckets on you. It's just not fair.
People tend to hate on Leor a lot, but people fail to realize and fail to mention the fact that Leor kind of adds a different level of defense that people don't really appreciate. The lockdown Leor mentality is alive as well.
Leor, I like it.
Yeah, definitely. Want to get to this comment first here. The foul against KD when diving for the ball, I didn't know what to make of that. I didn't know what to make of that foul. Again, one of those things that if it's a tight game, you call that foul, it's momentum stopping. It's
right.
Oh man, they've got to get that right, I think, and I hope that they take a look at these and coach the referees better. James Barnett here with some stats. I wanted to talk about this: 53.8% from three and 62% from the field. It's hard to lose a game shooting like that. Thoughts? Look, 14 from 26 from three felt like 2019 Auburn. It felt like Final Four Auburn.
The only way you lose a game like that is if you are getting out rebounded and you're turning the ball over crazy.
Second chance points. Yeah, right? Second chance points to the other team. Yep.
Wasn't a lot of that against today, and Auburn only turned the ball over 9 times. You took care of the basketball and you were rebounding. In addition to that, you shot the ball well. Yes. You end up blowing out your opponent by 21 points. Yes, that's the recipe for how blowouts happen.
Yep. Habersham Jim says, how do we look at winning the regular season conference? It's going to be tough. The math is tough.
Yeah, I think you need Bama to lose.
Yeah, the math.
You need a few teams to lose twice.
Yeah, the math is tough.
You got to get past Tennessee.
Then
we'll talk about winning the regular season conference. Let's get past Tennessee, and we're in the hunt. But get past Tennessee, and it starts looking really probable.
Yeah, right now, as far as the conference is concerned, Bama leads at 11-3, Tennessee's 10-3, and then Auburn moved up to third. Actually, now they came in fourth at 10-4. So you split the season series with Alabama. If you beat Tennessee and you win out, you've got a really good shot.
Tennessee's going to be 11-3 at the end of the night because I think Tennessee's going to take care of Texas A&M. So you're going to have 2 teams tied for first at 11-3. Then you're going to have Auburn tied with South Carolina at 10-4.
Alabama and Tennessee matches up against each other soon and down the stretch. So they got to play each other. So they get
their first game day.
Yeah, Tennessee to beat Alabama, and then you need to beat Tennessee. You need to win out.
Right.
I think that's the math there.
After Tennessee,
they got to play at Florida. And they play Tennessee at home.
Right. Because Kentucky now has 5 SEC losses. So if you don't lose, you never get into a tie break with them. You beat South Carolina. Florida has 5 losses. If Auburn wins out, they could take this thing.
Yes.
With the right.
That's what I'm saying. If you don't beat Tennessee, we're not talking about. There's nothing to talk about here.
Yeah.
But if you beat Tennessee, you got a chance, especially as to how Bama looks when they play Tennessee. I think they play them the 2nd.
Yep.
They play them on Saturday, Saturday.
Yeah.
Because they have game day for the first time in the history of their Auburn basketball program.
Yeah.
But Auburn's going to be favored by double-digit points in the next after Tennessee, of course. But the last 3 games, Auburn's going to be favored pretty heavily in those. So get through the checkerboard, and you got it.
A few more comments before we close out here. P-Pass says 13 minutes from Leor with Tennessee on deck is like Wakefield pitching for the Red Sox is down 15 in the ALCS. Love the baseball analogy. Brad Browning says, I might have missed it, but did you guys talk about the personnel groupings? Like Janai Broom and Dylan Carfwell on the floor at the same time.
I noticed that. We did not talk about that.
Yeah, it was interesting. I think Bruce Pearl got really creative in this game. With kind of the sets he was putting out there and the personnel grouping. So I think it goes to show you how much Jalen Williams means to this team because he did things that he hasn't done all year in this game to help kind of cover for Jalen's absence.
I agree.
Yeah, Georgia's not the best at shooting the 3, so having those 2 big dudes in the middle were were probably very pivotal in stopping them from getting.
And Auburn, and Georgia was trying to play bully ball too in the interior.
Yeah.
So having those guys out there helped for sure.
Yep. Last comment before we get out of here. Ben Bloodworth, remember when the commentator referred to Georgia as we?
So listen, y'all talked about the refs. These commentators were T-rash as far as I'm concerned. They were like, I was like, are you guys rooting for Georgia? Like, it just felt, yeah. So I felt all that, Ben. I felt all that. That was more annoying to me than the officiating.
There's been two games that I've watched this weekend for Auburn women's and men's basketball where the commentators have been bad because both of them seem like the commentators really wanted the home team to win. Commentating has just been bad.
Yeah, women's basketball had a really, really bad one a couple games ago that I was just like, wow, man, she is. And then even gymnastics, like when Auburn played like Alabama gymnastics, it was some of the worst commentating I've heard in terms of being neutral. So in a media setting, you're right here. The we is kind of tough to listen to.
When the guy said the dogs are coming, it's like, really?
Yeah.
Really?
It's really rough. Really rough.
I think they did a dunk or something, and the guy was like very hype about a dunk down by like 15 or more. Like a very weird moment to get very hyped up about I think it was when Katie Johnson got blocked or something. Something happened where they like supporting the fans saying Katie got an air ball. He's like, you think Katie Johnson missed it?
Yeah, definitely. It was rough. Guys, we're going to get out of here. Again, Auburn beats Georgia. Final score 97-76. Chad Baker-Mazzaro led all scorers with 25 points. He also had a great game. Otherwise, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, career night for him. Great win for the Auburn Tigers. Look, man, if they win out here, then I think they have a chance to win the conference. We know that means something to Bruce Pearl, but you guys know the drill, man. Look, follow us and share this video at The War Report, hashtag get your weight up. And we're going to be covering this until the end of the season. We'll be at the SEC tournament. We're going to bring you guys every bit of live coverage we can as long as Auburn is playing basketball this year. Like and subscribe to the channel. Tell somebody about it. This helps us in the algorithm so we can spread the good word of The War Report. At The War Report on X and IG. TW Report on TikTok. We're putting out some great content in there. Guys, we're signing off. As always, War Eagle.